Hi, this is Confidence and welcome back to the Africana channel. Today, I sit down with Naveen, the co-founder and CEO of ComTech Gold, about how to make investment into gold easy and modern for everyone. We will dive into how ComTech Gold is changing the game, turning gold into something you can invest in with just a few clicks. Join us as we uncover ways you can invest into gold with ComTech Gold. Welcome to the Africana podcast, Naveen. It's a pleasure to have you here, and thanks for taking time to go through this interview and get to explain to us what ComTech Gold is all about. And I'm so excited to also learn, as I am sure some of our viewers also will be so excited to understand what you guys are doing. So if you don't mind, please just introduce yourself. Who is Naveen? What is ComTech Gold? Yeah, basically, over to you.
Thank you, Confidence, for having me on this call and in this podcast. My name is Naveen D'Souza. I am the co-founder and CEO for ComTech Gold. So on my personal front, I've been a banker and an exchange person. Been working with the likes of Dubai Financial Markets, with the stock market of Dubai Gold and Commodities Exchange, which is a derivative exchange out in UAE for over 12 years. I work with banks like Deutsche Bank and National Stock Exchange of India. And in the last 2 years, we have set up something called ComTech Gold, where we revolutionize the way you invest in gold. So ComTech Gold is a platform for tokenization of real-world assets like gold, which allows investor to have an access to the gold in a digital form. But at the same time, in a secured manner, where the gold is stored into a secured vault, completely secured, identifiable and insured. So this allows people to access gold, to buy, hold it in their wallet and move across the globe.
That's awesome. Yeah. So before I even get to some more questions, I just want to understand, like, some of the people that I interview on this podcast, they have a rich background before they even ventured into crypto. So how do you think, like, your venture into, probably your experience with banking, like, helped out to actually, grow what you are currently building? What impact does?
It's definitely quite important, because if you see, blockchain started in 2009. And the whole reason about blockchain was it was a technology to solve real world issues. And to solve real world issues, you have to come into the real world. So you cannot stay into an isolated world saying that my technology is the best and not come to the real world where the actual financial transactions happen. So the advantage for the rich background of being into financial institutions and bank helps us to identify how can we get the best of both. So we get the regulatory framework and the applications and the assets of the real world, and we use the technology from blockchain, bring it together to create a world-class product. So this is really important, because initially when blockchain started, it was more driven by tech people who created one of the best technology, one of the best decentralized platform where it is secure. Transaction is not controlled into a single environment, it's a completely decentralized environment and everything. But now, to put it into the real world, you need to have people who have experience into the actual transaction flow, into the actual financial world, and try to match these two. So this is where the experience and the whole background of it comes into picture.
Wow, that's interesting. Like when blockchain or the blockchain buzz started years back, you would never think, like, people from industries like the banking or financing sector would actually venture into blockchain. Like, I was still young by those days, and I was still at college, and trying to understand Bitcoin and the stuff, I never thought that I would see someone from my financial, background having some interest in this technology. But well, because it's growing and because also there's more experience from guys like you, it's really interesting to see how everything is turning out. So how does ComTech plan to simplify investments in real world assets in the African markets? I am in the African continent, and I know this is another market that you definitely you are going to also venture into, or that you have currently ventured into, and also aligning with the company's vision of simplification and transparency in gold investment.
So if you see from a global perspective, the amount of gold into the whole economy is close to around $14 trillion. So we are not talking about a small asset, we're talking about a mega asset. Even from the most traded asset globally, if you see, is second most is gold after S&P index. So this is an asset which is understood by everybody. This is an asset which is traded by everybody, and this is an asset which everybody invests into. Now, however old this asset is, the way of investment in asset is still more on the traditional side. So you have traditionally people who want to invest in gold still have to go and get into the physical world, buy the physical gold, hold it into a vault, but many of them don't have the expertise to do that. So this is where the technology part comes into picture, is how can we change the way you invest in gold? Because in this place, I don't need to tell audience that why they should invest in gold, because it's a universal asset. But what we're trying to do is how can you change the way you invest in gold? This is where we have come up with a tokenized solution where the physical gold comes into the platform. The physical gold gets stored into the ecosystem, into one of the most world-class vaults. There it is kept segregated and short. We only accept gold bars in 1 kilo bars. 99.99% purity, which is the world class and the most liquid bars. Then we have also a partnership with DMCC, which is a government of Dubai entity, to endorse the whole physical and the digital process. This is where once the gold goes into the vault, we mint 1,000 tokens, where one token represents 1 gram of gold.
Okay.
And this 1,000 token is available in the market for people to buy, sell, transact. Now, when you talk about from an African regional perspective, Africa as a region is very rich with resources. This is where majority of the gold supply comes in from. However, it has its own limitations with regards to and the dependency on US dollars. So this is where ComTech Gold comes into picture, where we can digitalize gold. And when we talk about digitalize, we can go as low as 0.01 gram, or from a technical perspective, we can go as low as 18 decimals. Now, the moment the gold is digitalized, it allows it to be used for multiple purposes, let's say for payment, let's say for transfers, let's say for investment, and all this is available at a click of a button. And this is, if you have seen recently, even the government is taking a lot of interest. And we have seen announcements with some of the African governments where they are launching a digital gold currency, where people can hold gold as a currency and use it for their transactions. So this is the benefit of tokenization. This is the benefit of tokenization of the real world assets. And this is what we want to bring back to the economy.
Wow, that's awesome. So one question that just came into my mind is, okay, so you spoke about investment. So is it possible that if I have 1 kg of gold, I can walk up to your office and say, I have the gold, digitize it, or you have your own process that you only follow?
So I will say it's a yes and no. So
Okay.
what we have built, and this is where we are different, is we don't hold reserves into a gold reserve kind of thing. So we back it up with standardized gold, because at the end of it, when you're buying a token, you have to be rest assured that it is backed by international quality gold. So we have a framework which is built in where we only tokenize gold in 1 kilobars, 99.99% purity, with bar certificates from the refiner, and we only accept London Good Delivery (LBMA) brands or UAE Good Delivery brands. and these has to come from the refiners. So if the gold that you hold fulfills all these 5 categories, you can come to us saying that I will have my gold deposit from the refiner to you. I need 1,000 tokens. Similarly, if you have 1,000 tokens and you come to me saying that okay, these are my 1,000 tokens, I want my 1 kilo gold bar, you get your 1 kilo gold bar delivered. And this is very important from a perspective that it is not only as a proof of reserve, but it also operates more from the perspective of ensuring that the token price is always equal to the price of gold. So I'll give you an example. So let's say my price is cheaper, the ComTech Gold token price is cheaper. You can just make money by buying 1,000 tokens on the platform, request for a withdrawal of 1 kilo gold bar, and sell the physical gold bar in the market. You make money out of it. Similarly, if you see my price is expensive, you can buy 1 kilo gold bar from the market, which fulfills the standard, deposit in the vault, get 1,000 tokens, and sell those 1,000 tokens at a very expensive price, and you make money. But because of this minting and burning mechanism, this works as an automatic arbitrage, which ensures the price of ComTech Gold token is always equal to the price of gold.
Of course, okay. Wow, that's smart. And very interesting actually. And I think it's something that probably like most of the investors also from the African market would be interested in. And also, so given the complexity often associated with real world assets, how does ComTech Gold ensure transparency and clarity for investors? This also applies to any investor who's on your platform. Are there any specific mechanisms or platforms in place to provide the visibility into the real world assets investment opportunity?
Yeah, so in case of any tokenization of real world asset, the most important element is a proof of reserve, which means what is the backing of the actual token. In our case, it's gold. So you are very right in asking, saying that okay, because if I'm going to buy a token, I need to be damn sure that that gold exists. So what we have done, we spent a long time last year to ensure to build in the whole ecosystem for security and transparency, and we have built in various mechanisms. So it's not only on the audit which is done afterwards, we have tried to nip the bud itself. So what we have done is we have built in the governance factor which doesn't allow ComTech to mint tokens till the time the gold is available. Similarly, it doesn't allow us to withdraw gold till the time the tokens are burned. So how do we do that? So we have partnered with DMCC, which is an independent government of Dubai entity. So the gold goes into the vault, and what we create is a trade flow warrant. It's a legal tender document. It's basically an electronic receipt of the underlying gold. That warrant needs to be approved by DMCC. In parallel, for every gold that is deposited, we mint 1,000 tokens, and we have to mention the bar number, the certificate number, and the warrant number against which the tokens are minted. So both these goes to DMCC for endorsement, wherein they validate the two, and only if it tallies, that's where they approve the gold deposit and the minting of token. So even if ComTech wants to mint tokens, it cannot. Secondly, now let's say ComTech has the gold with its vault. If it goes to the vault and says, okay, I want to withdraw gold, the vault says you have a trade flow warrant against it, please go to DMCC and get it cancelled. When we go to DMCC saying that we want to cancel the receipt, DMCC says, okay, where is the burning request of the token? And only when we burn tokens, and when we burn, we have to mention again which gold bar it is burnt. So only once they validate saying that, okay, this is the gold that you're taking out and this is 1,000 tokens that you're burning, only then it allows us to withdraw the gold. So at no point in time we can remove the gold out when the tokens are already existing. So this is from the governance framework perspective. In addition to that, we have periodic audit reports. We have reports directly coming from DMCC and the vault. And in UAE, we also allow, if investors really want, we allow them to visit to the vault as well, so that they can actually see the existence of gold. So along with that, from a governance, we are also Sharia compliant. So we are the first in the region to be Sharia compliant. Sharia compliant is very important from an Islamic financing investment perspective. But more than that, in case of a Sharia compliance, it says that to be Sharia compliant, you don't have to be only backed by gold, but they have to be identifiable, segregated, and allocated. So now we are not only talking about backing by gold, we are talking about backing by allocated, segregated gold itself. So this ensures the whole transparency element into the gold framework.
Interesting. So yeah, that's a very robust system, and it's quite assuring to investors that they are not just dealing with a dodgy company, and that's really good. So can you also elaborate on how ComTech Gold's focus on real world assets contributes to financial empowerment in Africa? Because this is one of the most important topics here in this region: financial empowerment and also inclusion. Because here there's a lot of systems that do not really include a lot of the masses here in Africa. So how ComTech Gold's focus on real assets contributes to financial empowerment in Africa?
So from a financial empowerment perspective, if you see what we are talking about, gold is a global investment asset. If you see the whole demand of gold in last year itself, it was close to around 4,800 tons of gold. So that's the 1 year demand of gold, which is equal to close to around $320 billion that we're talking about. Now, in spite of being such rich in natural resources in Africa, the whole dependency on dollar is what makes things difficult, because in many of the African countries they are very much dependency on the access to dollars, because the local currency do not actually help them much. Right. So they need a mode of transaction or a currency which can be used, going back to old days where we used to do barter system, where I give you something against something, and gold was always predominantly considered as a gold standard as a currency. But why didn't it work? Because they had issues with regards to fungibility, they had issues with quality and transferability. So these 3 things are taken care by us. So we have the entire ecosystem which can be plugged into any platform. So let's say somebody wants to launch a gold token or a gold coin in Africa. We can provide our infrastructure where we can give them access to physical gold, we can give them access to prices, we can give them access to the whole deposit infrastructure, the governance and everything. They just plug in and launch their own gold tokens. Once it's in a digital form, gold actually comes back to the economy. It is like if you go to olden days when we were trading shares, when they were in the paper form, the transactions were quite less. But the moment you dematerialized it, globally people started investing, the amount of transactions increased. And by digitalizing or tokenizing gold, we are bringing it back to the economy. Imagine a case that you want to buy something and you're able to pay it by gold. Now, let's say the whole mining operation which works in, what happens to the gold which is mined out? It comes to countries like Switzerland or UAE, get it refined into physical gold, gets sold out, then the dollars get transferred and then people are paid all across. But what if we say that, okay, we have a mechanism where whatever gold gets extracted, you refine it, you digitalize it, and you start using that gold as a payment across for other people. So you're creating a currency which is a real world currency. Second, if somebody wants a loan, now somebody wants to use gold as an investment and go to a bank to take a loan. Banks are hesitant because of the quality issue, where do they store it and all the other things. But if it's in a digital form, it becomes much more easier for them to give the loan out. Secondly, you want to do small investment schemes for people out there, because everybody in Africa invests in gold, everybody likes gold. Now the only way for them to go and invest in gold is go to the gold market and buy physical gold. Predominantly when you buy physical gold, you normally pay the price itself, is there is a premium of 3 to 5% in the market as compared to international prices. Secondly, when you buy a physical gold, there is something called a making charge, which also operates between 3% to 20% depending upon what you are doing. If you want jewelry, then it's close to 20%. If you are doing just a coin, it may be 3 to 5%. So you're just spending 10% just because you want to invest in gold. We are providing a platform where you can have the same access at maybe 0.5% to 1% cost.
Wow.
Second, if you want to sell tomorrow some part of your saving, you can't break your coin. So if you got 10 grams coin, you have to wait to sell the whole 10 grams. But the moment you're digital, you can sell 0.5 gram back to the market for anything. You want to sell 1 gram, you want to sell 10 grams, you have the complete freedom. So we are giving you the power of gold with the flexibility, fungibility, security, and scalability. So this is what we offer as part of the tokenization.
Oh, that's awesome. So just taking you back, when you mentioned that the issues to do with loans, it just made me think about here in Zimbabwe, our government tried to, they actually introduced what they call gold coins. But then the issue is there is no like a way to trace if there is really the physical gold, right? There is no implementation of the blockchain to showcase transparency. So are you open to also working with other governments to issue this token, this technology in a way, and also introduce things like, you know, loans? Like here in Zimbabwe, you can set up ComTech Gold, and then somebody can buy the tokens, and then they can actually get a loan from the bank based on the tokens that they have on ComTech Gold.
Yeah, sure, definitely. So when we talk about the technology and the infrastructure, so the infrastructure doesn't have any jurisdiction. Okay. But what happens, the regulatory framework in each country is different. So this is where we partner with local bodies. So we, the government. Now let's say the government wants to introduce something on the digital side. We have the expertise on the technology. We have the expertise on the blockchain. We have the governance infrastructure. We have the physical infrastructure, and we have the prices. So we can provide very well in the form of white labeling. So we have done something similar with Switzerland. We have done something similar in Thailand, where there are private institutional bodies who have launched their own gold coins backed by ComTech Gold. Similarly, we can have the entire setup replicated in any jurisdiction. So let's say in African countries, your government wants to launch a blockchain digital gold. We can provide the whole infrastructure to them, wherein they only control the physical and the financial element of it. This also adds in safety and security for the customers, because they know there is transparency against it. They can go and backtrack using blockchain. Where does the gold exist? Where does the gold there? And secondly, as you rightly said, if you set up something ComTech Gold out in Zimbabwe, a lot of banks would be happy to do microfinancing, because everybody has an investment in gold. If all that comes into a digital platform, it becomes much more easier for the banks to give you loan, because the bank knows one thing very well. I have the access to the digital gold, and whenever I want, I have the liquidity and access to the physical gold, which is of the world-class quality. So what would stop me from giving a loan against this gold? So this is the high-end technology that we offer.
Wow. Yeah, I hope that some random government official will be listening to this podcast, and they will decide to actually, see this technology come into play in the African market. And you also spoke about regulation. It differs from one region to the other. So let's just touch on that also. So how are you? Have you ever had some challenges with other regions when it comes to compliance and regulation? And how have you worked that out so far?
So what we have done in that element is, so any part of real world asset tokenization has two parts of it. One is the underlying physical element, and one is the technology. So technology doesn't have any jurisdiction. Technology can be implemented anywhere. The important regulation comes from the perspective of the underlying asset. And what we have seen over the last year and a half is many institutions and others want to launch a gold product onto their respective jurisdiction, but wants to hold the physical in a neutral place. This is where we have chosen UAE, because UAE is a most neutral place both from a logistic perspective plus from a political perspective. So people want to invest in gold, but they don't want to hold the gold into their respective countries. They want to hold it in a neutral place where they could have an access to that gold at any point in time. So to take care of the regulatory framework, we work with local representatives. So let's say if I want to launch something in Zimbabwe, and there is an entity in Zimbabwe, because we can build the best infrastructure, we can build the best product, but you need a distribution network. And that distribution network differs from jurisdiction to jurisdiction. So if you have an entity in Zimbabwe, let's say a bank, who wants to offer digital gold to its customers, we can be their backbone. We can have our entire infrastructure connect to them by APIs, and they can, over the span of 4 weeks, go and launch their own digital gold to their customers. So they become the face, they become the licensing authority, and we can become the backbone.
Wow. Okay, that's really interesting, and I hope maybe I can also work out something rather than wait for somebody to actually do it out there. So yeah, that's really interesting. So let's come back to investment. Just individual investors. So are there any user-friendly platforms or educational resources designated to facilitate reward investment for users in this African region?
So what we've done is we have two kind of products parallel into our platform. One is a crypto product, which is called CGO, and that's accessible globally. So we are listed on 3 exchanges. We are listed on LBank, we are listed on Bitmart, we are listed on Bytru. If you see from a coin market cap, under the gold section, we are number 3 on the list. We have 144,000 tokens available in the market, backed by 144 kgs of physical gold. So any investor who wants to access this gold can go into any of these markets, buy digital gold in the form of ComTech, and hold it in their wallet. For UAE perspective, we have launched traditional digital gold for banking perspective. So we have developed our own application, and the people can just register on our application, do their KYC, which is an electronic KYC, link their bank accounts, and buy and sell gold at a click of a button from their bank accounts. So this infrastructure can also be replicated in Africa or any other region. So if you get a local partner who wants to launch their own gold, we can develop the whole infrastructure, including the application, where people can connect, do their KYC, because KYC is different for different jurisdictions. So every place you will have a different national ID. And that can be linked to their bank account, and then people can operate a bank account and also a gold account with ComTech. So this is the way, from a retail investment perspective, they can use ComTech Gold. And when it comes for physical redemption as well, what we've done in the UAE unique is, as a retailer, he would not have 1 kilo of gold to redeem. So we have questions coming from people saying, okay, if I've got 10 grams, I want physical, what do I do? So we have tied up with local jewelry firms here. So we have tied up with Kalyan Jeweler, which is a local jeweler. So people can go to a Kalyan Jeweler shop, buy whatever gold he wants to buy, and use ComTech Gold to do the payment. So let's say he wants to buy 10 grams of gold. He goes and says, I want to buy a 10 gram coin, and he holds 10 grams of ComTech Gold into his account. He goes to the shop, buys the 10 gram coin. The shop says that, okay, you need to pay, let's say, $10 as making charge for the coin. So what he does for the gold coin, he pays by ComTech Gold and only pays the making charge and gets his physical gold. So it is not only restricted to coins, he can also buy jewelry or anything, and the value of the gold will be adjusted against his bill. So this means people can use it in smaller denomination for redemption.
I see. And we also spoke about transparency, blockchain. So I understand that ComTech Gold is built on top of the XTC blockchain. So can you is there a specific reason maybe to do with, the choice that you had of building on top of the XTC blockchain?
Yeah, definitely. That was one of the very important factors that we were looking at when we were trying to build at what network should be built in. So we did a lot of research on the various network, and we were mindful that we are talking about a traditional investment asset. And we had certain minimum criteria that should be available in a network to ensure that the investment and the asset is protected. So one was
Okay.
the security element, second was the decentralization, third
Okay.
was the cost, and fourth was the speed. So
Okay.
these were the primary elements that were very important for us when we decided to build. And when we did a research, so XDC fared well in all these elements. So when I compare with
Awesome.
XDC, if I look from a security and stability perspective, it's one of the most decentralized, what you call a network I've seen, because it's a proof of stake. The nodes are distributed. It's not held by a single person or something. So it's one of the most decentralized network. I have not seen a downtime from the time XDC started. Second, when you talk about speed perspective, average transaction speed on XTC is around close to 2 seconds, which is around 20 to 30 seconds or minutes in other bigger network. The transaction TPS on XTC network is 2000. When you compare to the other networks, it is between 10 to 15.
Okay.
It consumes less energy, so it's sustainable from a global world perspective. And when we talk about cost, because we are talking about a very stable asset, so there is no highly volatile that you can expect that the 5, 10, 20% can work kind of thing. So it's a very stable asset. If you see a cost on chain with other networks, the cost is somewhere between $10 to $15 a transaction. On XDC network, it was 0.00001, which is close to nothing.
Yeah.
So it was an ideal network to launch a real world asset, because we're talking about the real world situation here. We're not talking about a volatile asset like Bitcoin or Ethereum or anything else which moves 15-20% in a day. We're talking about an asset where even if moves 2%, the whole world knows that gold moved today.
Okay. And how does ComTech engage with local communities and stakeholders in Africa? Probably how do you then do your awareness, raise awareness about this important investment opportunity, to your communities? Are you looking at maybe also having other representatives who just bring awareness within the African continent?
Yeah, so we're working around that. So we were more busy with getting the whole infrastructure done, because we wanted to offer a product which is complete to the market. So now that is being done. So this is where we are exploring the various jurisdictions where we will have representatives in different jurisdictions which can promote the product. We are using social media channels. We are using various electronic channels to reach to the respective people. We do a lot of conferences. One of the latest one is where we are attending GITEX Africa, which is taking place in Morocco at the end of May. So we will be present there. We will be showcasing our product to the African community. And we will be happy if people want to come, meet, understand, and explore our product.
All right. Yeah, so we'll be looking forward to that event in Morocco, and I'll make sure that I'm there to also get to understand what you'll be doing at the moment, and also the future of ComTech Gold. I think this is one of the most interesting things here in Africa, gold investment, and it's actually not as easy also, because it's a very sensitive precious material, or should I say metal, here in Africa, and sometimes the government is very cautious when it comes to that type of an asset. So looking ahead, what is ComTech Gold's vision for the future of real-world assets investment in Africa? Are there any upcoming initiatives or innovations that the company is excited about in the real-world assets market and in the region?
So what we are looking at is, since now we have completed building the infrastructure, now is the time that we are going to offer it to the market. So we would be indulging in various financial institution, banks, and government level authorities in the African region, and explore to find out a local partner who becomes a right fit to offer this product for the benefit of people down there. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to make it more transparent for people to invest in gold. because there's a lot of parallel market which runs across the globe around physical assets like gold. So with blockchain technology, with the tokenized version, we want to capture that market in a legal way. We want to capture that market where any government, any banks can go and backtrack what are the transactions that have been executed. So this is where blockchain comes into picture. So this is where we would be coming into the market to offer a product which is transparent, which is liquid, which is fast, and which is secure.
Oh, that's awesome. So another silly question. Are we also going to look forward to probably me using ComTech Gold tokens to maybe purchase at a coffee shop, maybe purchase a pizza? Is that something that you are looking forward to implement so that I just don't hold tokens that I can't spend whenever I need to?
No, that's an interesting question, and this is one of our vision. Because we are received requests from investors that I want to use gold as money, and the best way to make it is to make it seamless for them. So we are working with banks where we are exploring offering debit cards on gold accounts. So you will have a digital debit card on your gold account, so you can use it globally. So it's an investment into your gold, which is held into your wallet, and you get an access to a card against it, which can be held globally. So you go to any jurisdiction, let's say you come to Dubai, swipe your card, buy a coffee with gold. So you not only invest in gold, but you can also spend gold.
That would be really interesting, and I think also it's really important for adoption sake. When we have merchants and I can just travel with a card, I can just swipe and spend my money anywhere where I want. And it's been really great, Naveen, to really understand this about ComTech Gold, and it's quite interesting. I was looking at your website and seeing the great work that you are doing. It's really awesome, and thank you for actually bringing this technology to the masses. And I hope to see it being adopted here. More investors putting in money from the African continent will make sure that happens. And it's been a pleasure speaking to you. I'll just give you probably a minute or two to just have maybe your last words to the viewers.
No. So thank you, Confidence, for having me here, and thank you for allowing me to put it to the market what we would like to offer. So, as last words, what I would just say is about we are changing the way you invest in gold. We are changing the way you hold your gold. So, because we believe gold is money and everything else is credit. Right. So, what we are there to offer is a secure and an easy way for you to hold your investment in gold.
Okay.
That's it.
That's awesome, and you've heard it for yourself from the man himself. If you're watching this, make sure you go and take a look at ComTech Gold's website and see what they are offering, and make sure you invest into gold, because this is the safest way to keep your money in your account. But Naveen, if somebody wants to contact you, how do they reach out to you?
So you can get into our website. We have our Telegram and social media handles as well, and we have an info mailbox. You can connect to us either social media way or through our website.
Okay, that's awesome. So it's been a pleasure speaking to you again. I hope to see you in Morocco in May, and we'll have even longer conversation about ComTech Gold and the future. Thank you very much for joining me. It's been a pleasure speaking to you.
Thank you, Confidence. Pleasure is all mine. Thank you.
Cheers.
Cheers.